Apologies early on if you do hear me coughing on occasion. Of course, it is the winter time. Unfortunately, the winter sickness does come along with it, so apologies if my voice does sound a little bit nasally, because that definitely could be the case. However, though, we're hopping in here toward our first map, of course, here on London Docks for tonight's variant tournament. Of course, due to the recent rules that have kind of come in for the CWL, UMG has obviously followed along the same, meaning that we are no longer playing Gridiron. Maps have obviously been adjusted. And in the current rotation for tonight, of course, playing Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, and CTF for map number 3. Of course, in this current best-of-3 format, we've got Hardpoint London Docks for map number 1. For map number 2, we'll be having Search and Destroy on Arden Forest. And if it comes down to it, map number 3 will be CTF on Arden Forest as well. So pretty interesting series, to say the least. Very excited to see how this one does obviously kick off, especially with the fact that we have quite a few known players when it comes down to this matchup right now taking place here, I believe in round 3 for tonight's tournament. But of course, like I said, Allegiance, very well-known roster when it came down toward the end of Infinite Warfare, obviously formed toward the latter parts of that game, and definitely kind of proved themselves at a few tournaments. Of course, most notably Spoof being one of the main players for Lethal Gaming back in the day. Made some moments with Juju, BZ as well. Of course, HumanJesus later kind of became a part of that roster, so in some cases you're looking at Spoof, who ended up leaving, then HumanJesus kind of comes alongside of him afterwards, so a little bit of a storyline there, but regardless of that, though, you obviously got the story of Legal, of course, previous player for teams like H2K, Prophecy back in Advanced Warfare, very talented player at that, and obviously trying to get his name back in the competitive scene for this new year of Boots on the Ground Call of Duty, and currently is on this roster. Previously, I believe, was on actually a team known as Beyond Reality, who Beyond Reality actually ended up going through a pretty interesting kind of phase with their roster so far in World War II. I believe picked up, it was a Jet Li's team for the beginning of World War II, then dropped them actually for Iceberg Esports, which actually consisted of Heck, Apox, Huddle, and Legal. And due to that taking place, they later dropped the team, being the exact same roster. So they drop Heck, Apox, Huddle, and Legal to pick back up the team they dropped in the first place, which was actually Jet Li's team. So pretty interesting, to be honest with you. Pretty interesting kind of roster swap. So it looks like Legal has already kind of gone through the ropes of roster moves up to this point, and definitely does not want to have to face anymore. And obviously has some pretty talented players when it comes down to it. Of course, for those who may be confused with the current Sky Camera glitch, it is something that we do face currently in Concaster mode, where we cannot get out of this mode. We're kind of stuck in the overhead perspective, and I can't get out of it. So I promise you, if I would really enjoy getting to the first-person point of view. Despite, though, this is a very nice camera angle. If there was a glitch, I'm glad that this is the one to be the case, just because you can still kind of understand the strategy and the reasoning why certain things are obviously taking place. So kind of looking at the map as it currently stands, it is Allegiance with a little bit of a lead. Hardpoint currently consisting inside a barrel building, as it looks like Mayhem trying to do some damage, backing up and trying to go for the initial challenges, waiting for his teammates to try and join alongside of him. As well, this does seem to be a big gunfight. He will get kind of swarmed there by Legal and Co. Kind of having that backside spawn there near back barrel building, as rotations are obviously being kept in mind. Believe the man could be rocking that FG42, main one for this team, and kind of talking about the overall scheme of the Allegiance roster. Very curious to see how this team does when it comes down to Boots on the Ground Call of Duty. Of course, not very familiar with the history of this team when it comes down to, titles like Ghost, and even prior to that one, Black Ops 2. Not really sure if they were even really competing at that time or what really was the case, but going to obviously be thinking of how they're going to perform, as I believe right now, speaking of believe, currently sitting at 13-6 on a 5 spree, and definitely getting closer toward those streaks. Of course, keeping in mind, streaks are going to be tampered with a little bit. No more Molotov cocktails to be thrown around the map. Those have obviously been banned from competitive play. So you're going to have to play a little bit more toward your life. As personally, I do like the idea of that kind of being the case, like not really having to worry about Molotovs and having such a low streak to kind of worry about, but I also really like the idea of Molotovs kind of being in the game and the situations you can really use those for. I think it works out really well. So with that in mind, of course, have a lot of new settings for the players, especially in tonight's tournament variants, to be worrying about or just kind of be focusing on. And we'll obviously see how those do come into play. Of course, FMJ no longer being allowed. I believe it's CTF on St. Marie Dumont no longer is in the rotation, as well as a Search and Destroy on Gibraltar. So definitely things to be prepared for. As I'm also very curious to see how I think Gibraltar would have played. I think it's fair to say without FMJ being a thing. Just very curious how that would have obviously played out. Of course, we'll live to see another day. No one will ever really know the full story of that unless it came back into the competitive rotation, which I doubt would be the case anytime soon. But still looking on. Like I said, speaking of the settings, speaking of the adaptations that players have had to make, got to keep in mind the flinch issue as well. Recently been resolved, but definitely caused a few players some issues. Of course, a little bit of complaints on Twitter. Not people were happy with that, but I think the only complaints today, since the fix for that is really just kind of coming down to ranked play, people kind of being a little bit angry with the new ranking system and how their public match teammates aren't exactly like their professional ones. So at least that's one positive thing that's really, I mean, if that's really the only thing you have to complain about, I think it's a pretty good sign to say the least. But of course, rotation now coming in, we'll obviously be seeing who is in control. That looks like it will be the side of Allegiance, who's doing some damage here. Like I said, we've got ALG going up against YoWhatUp. And I was kind of talking about roster issues that guys like Legal, HumanJesus have already kind of gone through the ranks when it comes down to that. Of course, HumanJesus already being priorly onto TGC and being released from that roster as well. But still looking on, though, it's been kind of interesting to see the transition from IW to World War II as far as a roster is considered, as far as an organization is considered for ALG, because I believe ALG was, as far as the entire organization was considered, they were actually going to close up shop. They weren't even going to be having any more esports teams or really any more esports competitiveness. And I believe with this team, it kind of rejuvenated things, and this is the first roster that they announced. So I know ALG, pretty well-known organization when it comes to esports as a whole, and very glad to see them back in the scheme of things, and obviously playing pretty well. I know this roster has kind of struggled in some 2Ks. I don't believe that they're going to be really in pool play or anything close to that, but still going to be fighting their way through the open bracket. Not exactly sure if Legal and Co. will be in that open bracket or not, but not sure if they have a team pass. But still, definitely a lot of action, a lot of overall practice when it comes down to the first event. It's obviously going to be coming up here within the next weekend or so at CWL Dallas. It should be a very fun event to watch, to say the least. But like I said, rotations coming in here toward Warehouse, a.k.a. 10. And it looks like the set of Legal and Co. doing a pretty good job at trying to lock it down here. And it looks like rotations definitely going to be keeping that in the back of your mind. That's where you're going to see by Paradox start to rush forward here through mid-statue. Of course, getting that rotation ready for barrel building. And it looks like ALG is going to give up the last few seconds and kind of try to set up shop, try to set up camp. We'll see if it does work out for them. Of course, firing forward right now, Spoof's the guy to be worried about when it comes down to that SMG, as he will fall there. And looks like Paradox and Legal there to hop inside the hard point. It looks like they also do get that spawn. You notice that one there in that back left corner of the minimap. They also now do have spawns, so the last 40 seconds of this hill could easily be won for the side of YoWhatUp, just based on the fact that they do have that spawn control. And if you're honestly a player from Allegiance, one of you kind of has to sacrifice. If you're not going to get that rush through middle, not going to get that early kind of contention to go your way, one of you might have to kind of go on the flank and try to make a hero play. And we'll see if that ends up being the case. It looks like all of them going to go kind of straight here through that middle statue area. But it looks like rotations now in the back of everyone's mind. Tisch locking down the few final seconds there of that hard point. As I believe Tisch, remember this guy a little bit in the last few titles. I've kind of heard his name be thrown around, especially during the days of Black Ops 2, if my mind does serve me correct. But I believe he was, I can't remember what team he was playing with, but I was actually writing down some notes on players who were playing with certain guys in 2Ks. Maybe it was Baker's team. I think Baker's team might have been playing with this guy, with Tisch. I'm not 100% sure, but I can't remember who it was. But he's been playing with some professional teams. So curious to see how his performance obviously does come into play. Currently sitting at 27 and 20. HumanJesus currently sitting at 26 and 18, along with a minute and 30 seconds inside the hard point. This is a guy who mostly known off of his name, but very talented player as well. Can definitely do a lot of work when it comes down to the slang as well as the objective time. And overall, just a very crafty, very high-skilled player. This is a guy that I've heard about since, I think it was around AW, or maybe even Black Ops 3, HumanJesus. And I remember him kind of being in the S&D game, and people kind of talked about him, saying that he really was just insane to watch. And definitely kind of proving himself when it comes down to respawns of the last few years. And currently doing it versus a very top team in Allegiance, as his squad currently is in possession of that lead, 218 to 203 rotation. Getting ready to come in. We'll see how that one will work out. And of course, Nova was locking things down in the middle only for the time. And Believe in the back lines, trying to do some damage as well. And it looks like shots do come forward. It will be a 3 down for the side of YoWhatUp. Having some issues here to the latter parts of this game, and this is the worst time for it to happen. Of course, getting closer toward that 250-second mark, but it looks like toward the back lines, it will be ALG slipping in on the stairs. Kills going down as Nova does drop. It looks like Spoof does as well. The entire setup was broken there from the side of HumanJesus himself. He finds 2. And here comes the push. Rushing forward right now, Believe Nova combining for a few as they'll lock this one down, and they will take the lead off of this hard point, keeping in mind that rotation. They can't win off this hill, but they can get darn close. And we'll see how the side of YoWhatUp can try to hold on and lock this hard point down. Legal in a very huge power position. And we'll see how he can hold this one. Instead of Coal Room, decides going back up, watching underground, and I like this play from him, but as his teammates are trying to do some work on the back lines, if he can find a kill here, that would be big. And yes, just like that, they find a few. And they could be able to lock this one down. Only 10 more seconds needed, and you see the players from ALG just stumped. They don't really know where to go. They have no push. They have no teammate support. And only 3 seconds left. They got to dive in, and there's not going to be enough time. Just like that, map number 1 is in the books. We saw it from the overhead point of view, which is kind of unfortunate. But a very close hardpoint game here on London Docks. As you see, Believe here for the bronze star of the game, the highlight play. He just takes out Mr. Legal, but does not get the win. Rather unfortunate in that particular situation, but just major props to the side of YoWhatUp for making that rotation, of course, toward hill number 2 and doing a great job of just locking that one down there in street and just kind of being aware, watching their pushes, and you also got to give massive credit to Legal. Immediately kind of realizes that, hey, I need to kind of watch what could be a push from Coal Room off their spawn, and obviously they win this one 250 to, I believe that is 232. Looks like the Axis logo. Kind of blocking things, but as far as the overall scorecard is considered, looks like some outliers as far as things are considered. HumanJesus, 32 and 21, along with 2 minutes and 6 seconds inside of the hill. Overall, 4,100 score plus. Back, boys and girls, of course, to the prime at $2,000 44 variant for December 1st. It's myself, Lando, here live in the UMG studio, joined alongside by Jen from home. I know last time, Jen, that we talked about your title was Jen from home, not Jen or Lemon Kiwi. It was just Jen from home. So glad to have you back.
Well, welcome back. It's great to catch this sort of mid-series, but I think you said it was a pretty close hardpoint between these two teams, right?
Yeah, it was. It was actually YoWhatUp who won map 1 on London Dunks, 250 to 232, alongside of a Human. I'm trying to say that clever, but just HumanJesus. He just has a 7.
HumanJesus.
Yeah, HumanJesus, who ends up finishing up pretty strong. I don't remember the exact scoreline, but average with the most kills overall, and along with the hardpoint time. So definitely did a lot for the team, and definitely gave them a lot of momentum to win that map number 1.
Well, already like that, I think that's Team Allegiance taking the first round, leaving Tisch, you said, all by himself for Team YoWhatUp, which I think they put a lot of thought into their GB name. But Allegiance, of course, I guess the official Team Allegiance going into the CWL, which I think there's a lot of hope, but I guess when they didn't win the first map, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I know. I've been able to watch them play a few times in like 2K's release, like been able to watch the results, and they haven't necessarily had the same, overall, I want to say results again, but you know what I'm saying, like the overall expectance of what is probably there for the team, but definitely trying to improve when it comes down to CWL Dallas. Of course, when it comes to LAN, that's when it really overall matters in your overall performances, but still playing strong when it comes to search and destroy back-to-back rounds will be Legal. Left in a 1 versus 3 here, Jen. Thankfully, he does have the bomb in his possession, but just sitting inside of cabin, just trying to maybe wither away the time.
Maybe he can wait this out long enough for Spoofs and friends to think that they're at the other bomb, but looks like Mayhem has a good idea that he's in cabin and gets the sights on him, cuts him down for 2 consecutive rounds here for ALG, and both the second time in a row that YoWhatUp have had one person left against either 4 or 3 members. So kind of getting cut down pretty early in these rounds. Hopefully they'll get a bit more coordinated heading into this 3rd round.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when it comes into both these teams, as far as like their level of communication and overall chemistry, I think you definitely got to kind of hand it to ALG. Of course, this roster competing in Infinite Warfare, this kind of overall group has kind of combined it for a few different teams in the past, especially kind of coming from Nova and Believe, and then of course Mayhem and Spoof teaming both prior, and then kind of coming as a squad. There's a lot of overall chemistry that kind of comes with playing as prior teammates, and that really favors in a lot when when it comes in a search and destroy. So this roster of YoWhatUp that's just recently formed, of course, now has to kind of work on their comp, try to work on the communication, because I doubt that that's probably there. So I think kind of coming into this match, we should definitely be experiencing, and kind of expecting, rather, that Allegiance would be the more preferred team.
Yeah, and at the beginning of this round, Allegiance pushing 2 towards the middle, 2 towards the bomb site, able to win the engagement, pushing off Paradox. But now it's Legal and Paradox versus Believe and Spoof's bomb down here for Allegiance. They have pretty secure positions of Ruin's side, but Spoof's going to cut down here from middle map as Paradox and friends trying to close in on this final player of Allegiance, who really want to get this 3rd round in a row. But with 17 seconds left, he could be waiting this out now in 1v1 versus Legal. Who is going to win it?
Oh.
And Legal does, and he does have plenty of time to also get the defuse. The patience out of Allegiance showing here.
Yeah, major props, honestly, to Believe for staying alive as long as he did, because obviously being in a 1 versus 2 situation with really just kind of a tower or a wall just in front of you, it's kind of difficult to try and stay alive. So props to him for staying alive as long as he did. Definitely made Legal kind of question his overall ability and his health. But regardless, though, we'll secure the round as Spoofs as well as Believe heading into that round number 3. We're flawless, but now have that number 1 marked up on their name. We'll see if they can do when it comes down to defense, as we're currently on board with Paradox. I believe both him and Tisch, I've heard the names kind of be mentioned around the esports scene, whether it's been on Reddit or just in MLG, UMG tournaments, 2Ks, whatever. I've heard their names going to be mentioned, but definitely curious to see how they can kind of do work alongside of Legal and HumanJesus, who are kind of more well-known players in the competitive space here, Jen.
Of course, and YoWhatUp trying to push 4 players towards this Ruin side. Of course, a more favorable spawn, but they have to be wary of Allegiance having that mid-map control, and Mayhem and Nova having sights onto the bomb site. Of course, HumanJesus going down, and make that also Paradox 2v2 situation.
Ooh, Spoofs!
And Tisch. Ooh, Spoofs going absolutely off, but the trades here for Tisch, making it a 1v1.
Indeed, well, looks like Tisch does end up grabbing the bomb. As Nova saying, thank you very much for making this round a lot easier, Spoof. Currently sitting at 7-2, but Nova, can he find his 2nd overall kill of this map? And Tisch maybe going for the fake plant. Does actually hop on it, and that's the worst timing possible if you're in Tisch's position. Just because you're faking the plant, and then you're thinking, okay, Nova's not right next to me. There's no way he's right next to me. I'm just going to go for the plant. As soon as he does that, Nova's there to pop around the corner. And that's rather unfortunate stuff, especially being down in the search and destroy here for map number 2. As it will now be 3 rounds to 1 in favor of ALG. So alongside, though, you got to keep in mind, alongside of the fantastic hat trick that we see in round number 4 there from Spoofs, finishes off with 3 kills with that FG42. He's doing some damage here, Jen. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised to see him actually rocking a major assault rifle like the FG, just because I'm used to seeing him in his past in Infinite Warfare as well as so far World War II with something like a PPSH.
Paradox going down early in this round with YoWhatUp trying to take over this B-bomb site control, and now they are losing players. Legal and Paradox going down, and Mayhem and Nova deciding to go around the bomb site. HumanJesus here to the right side of the map, and opting to end this offensive team planning towards this A-bomb site. So Tisch and HumanJesus completely fooled. Now have to rotate here from Ruins.
I don't know what HumanJesus is looking for. Maybe just a far-off player who just happens to be winning on the cut, but it looks like feet are spotted. I believe gets cut down, but along with that, Tisch's teammate does get picked off. So 1 versus 3, bomb planted inside a cabin. This play has been done before, but Tisch might go for a reload. Oh, okay. I was gonna say he does have a nice little weapon there, nice little diamond FG42, but unfortunately there's no ammo in the clip, and there's 6 players. So maybe if he can manage to 2-bullet 3 players, it could have worked out. But regardless, not gonna happen anytime soon.
I do like the Vegeta though. On his emblem.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
Guessing that's custom made. And I remember the times where I used to spend like hours going through YouTube videos and making emblems. And I haven't actually made one in this game, but off topic. But now YoWhatUp on the offense and pushing all 3 members, even the bomb here, towards this middle map. They're gonna be met here by Nova, but trades coming in 3 versus 3, and they're still ambitious to push forward here towards cabin.
Yeah, and it looks like, to be honest, like at least. It's kind of hard to explain, of course, as this round is kind of taking place. Just very kind of chaotic offensive pushes being made from the side of YoWhatUp, just kind of barreling their way to a certain bomb site. Granted, it works out in the situation, having the current man advantage, but just kind of tumbling their way here towards toward this A side as Believe very careful to walk around the corner. Nice actually little side peek to kind of bait out the shots. As it looks like Mayhem does spot one. FG42 on one side. Believe now going for the fake dolphin dive. Goes for the challenge and also shuts down Paradox. And now HumanJesus is last alive. Shuts down Mayhem. And now a 1 versus 1. And a whole lot of time left to Believe, who was on the flank. Had to expect that HumanJesus was here. But no, HumanJesus, much more crafty than that. Right around the corner, spots the pack. And he should be able to win this round. Yes, checking the corner. And HumanJesus, very well played. But honestly, very well played by both of these teams, as it will be the side of YoWhatUp who wins the round, but an awesome retake that was made from Allegiance, but just couldn't spot that last player in HumanJesus, who was just waiting around the corner, plays it well, and overall, a very crafty round for both sides, but one that does equal out toward the side of YoWhatUp.
Yeah, very crafty of them to go for a flank and really stick together, and Mayhem getting that initial pick to get the numbers in their favor. However, now it is Allegiance now on the offense. As you can see, HumanJesus and Tisch on the defense, quickly taking over the B-bomb site. It's going to make it difficult here for OK Believe and friends to come in. Here's HumanJesus in close range. Takes out his teammate, OK Believe. Not there for the trade. As now numbers in favor of YoWhatUp. And even bomb site control, so not looking too hot here for Allegiance, because YoWhatUp even have control of the left side of the map, so it's going to be difficult for them to also push cabin.
Yeah, definitely these last few rounds, you can kind of see the side of YoWhatUp, like it's kind of like they kind of barreled their way toward the A side on their last offensive round. Now kind of doing and kind of setting up shop, doing a fantastic job at cutting off both Mayhem and Nova early on. And so 2 versus 4. Granted, this was a similar situation that we saw in the last round, and ALG was able to do some work, but not even having that objective, at least in the prime spot to get the bomb down, is going to be pretty awkward, as Legal can kind of just hold that angle. And it's not going to have any issues with that, as it looks like HumanJesus will spot out Believe. And Spoof left all by himself, 1 versus 4. It looks like we're actually going to see the side of YoWhatUp get within 1 round of tying this one up, which seemed to be, at least early on, Jen, a massive advantage for ALG. One that I thought, hey, we're most likely going to head into a map number 3, but back-to-back rounds, YoWhatUp kind of proving things differently, as HumanJesus and co. Definitely kind of surprising us.
Yeah, Spoof's just going to wait this round out. Don't want to give anybody any extra kills. Not going to be ambitious for extra kills, too. So, going into the next round, like you said, 1 round differential between these two teams, where the side of YoWhatUp will now be on the offense. Where I've seen the defense in the past couple rounds be extremely aggressive and push and take over completely over the ruined site. You can see this is exactly what OK Believe here from the side of Allegiance wants to do. Gets on that high ground, gets sites also on middle map. But I believe it is the A-bomb site that this offensive team are looking for. But Spoof's going in huge, drops Legal, but Paradox gets the trade.
It's almost like, and I respect the plays from Allegiance and the fact that, of course, Believe's kind of holding on that B site just in case the push were to happen. But it's almost like since this, overwhelming force of YoWhatUp is just coming at you, as Paradox did not just do that. We need to watch this again. Oh.
Oh.
You hate to really see that. You really do. Of course, also just getting the plant down. Nice turn on there from Paradox. Very, very solid play, as it is now 4 rounds to 4. But like I was saying, ALG, like I obviously understand the fact that you obviously have to send, a certain player obviously to the opposite site. But right now, YoWhatUp is just winning these rounds, whether offensive or defensively, just because if they are just forcing their will, kind of acting as a full-man wrecking crew and just kind of stopping their way to either bomb site and not having any issues, along with the smoke that's going to be attached to this. Definitely going to kind of blind the vision, as they've also won the overall battle of choosing the opposite site. They pick off Legal, and now the bomb site is free. And we'll see what they can do with this contention. Mayhem tries to go for the challenge. Is not able to win it. It's toward the back lines. Tisch still up with that FG42. Paradox trying to do some damage through mid-map, but he also falls. It's like I was talking about. The overall team play coming in from the side of ALG, as they will win this round. Now 5 rounds to 4. YoWhatUp kind of been forcing their will in back-to-back rounds prior to this one. But it seems that ALG is now starting to have some life as they kind of force their way onto the A side and also use that smoke incredibly well, picking off Legal and just happen to choose the right bomb site in that situation there, Jen. Kind of found the lone player in Legal just sitting inside a cabin by himself.
Yeah, pretty smart switch up from ALG to try over at the cabin site. I mean, the other team doesn't really have or they haven't been using a sniper for them to worry about pushing the cabin site and even using the smokes to kind of close that distance between any AR play that would happen and leaving Tisch all by himself. That was a pretty successful round, and let's say another successful offensive round as Allegiance already take down 2. They do lose 1 member, but still looking strong as Tisch again left in a 1 versus 3.
Yeah, Tisch. Gonna say he had the opportunity, but just one that is very difficult to try and escape out of. So this one will be in the books, as it will be ALG, who does respond here for map number 2, winning this one 6 rounds to 4, as we will be having CTF for map number 3. That one also going to be an R4. So we're not leaving the forest. We're staying here.
Seeing how this is going to go, I think this is my first time probably looking at it with the new respawn and the patch and everything. Right. So now that we're on Ardennes Forest, we see a 2-2 split here from, the teams are switched, but YoWhatUp splitting things off.
Yeah, they aren't, but it looks like Believe might have made it behind enemy lines, as he'll just be kind of sitting pretty in YoWhatUp's base, but kind of looking on the opposite end, as he'll kind of just be proning there, waiting for his teammates. If they can find the picks off, so while YoWhatUp has no idea what's kind of being the case, if they end up falling here, this could easily be a flag cap on the opposite side, but kind of overwhelming the side of Allegiance right now. HumanJesus going for the flag grab. Keeping in mind, though, player number 3, Believe, is still alive. And if he can maybe try to find a sneak kill onto that flag carrier, might be able to escape with it, but see how his craftiness can kind of come into play. Shuts down 1. Tisch is here, but going for the rush. Can he get it? Yes! Happens to make it around the corner. Tisch doesn't check the right side, but still on the opposite end. Nova, just like his teammate prior, Believe, was able to do, also sneaks behind enemy lines, and now has the flag for the team yet again. We'll see how this works out, Jen, but it looks like player number 7 is the only one who could ruin this party. Legal. He ends up dropping just like that, and this is going to be a free flag cap here for the side of ALG. Patience pays off, and Nova will get the first flag cap in here within the first minute and 15.
Yeah, a bit of a mistake from Tisch to not be able to rescue that return, but perfect push towards the right side, getting ruins and middle map control and having the rest of your teammates spawn at the bottom. It was just perfect. They were able to get an easy first flag cap, as we still wait for YoWhatUp to respond. And they're still working on the middle map control. They got Legal and Tisch there. Maybe trying to get a pick or 2 before they push up, and that's exactly what they do. They get Nova and Believe down.
Indeed they do. So it looks like YoWhatUp, obviously off of that respawn. We'll see how they can also try and force the issue. As it will be Spoof currently locking things down inside a bunker. Being aware of that push that we could be seeing come in from YoWhatUp. Believe shuts down Paradox, and just like that, second one falls. So there goes the 7.5 second respawn timer. The rush now starting to come forward, as like you said, Jen, before we kind of headed into this map. Definitely rewards killing, I think it's fair to say, just because of the fact of patience kind of being more of a factor when it comes into CTF. And once you die, once you get those 2 and 3 downs, it just means so much more, just because, of course, you have that much more time to get that map advantage, kind of get that map control. And on a map like Ardennes Forest, I think the respawn timer definitely kind of pays off a lot. Just because I feel like on this map prior to the respawn timer addition, it was constantly that you were facing off against waves of the enemy. Kind of off of that spawn control, off of that overall push, as the shots to the smoke, as ALG find 3 despite HumanJesus escaping with that flag. We were constantly seeing players kind of wither away over time. Like the pushes just weren't there because you were facing off against time after time after time players off of that respawn. So I think it's definitely going to kind of reward and kind of overall play a lot smoother when it comes to this map specifically, just because of the way that it plays.
Now looking at YoWhatUp's trying to go for a flag capture, but it's going to be OK Believe on the side of Allegiance, who have the counter pull. So YoWhatUp had a good position of getting 3 down before the flag pull, and then HumanJesus somehow staying alive, although he was the last one.
Where's the call
before? But man. Now Mayhem is killing everything in sight. Still a sort of stalemate between HumanJesus and OK Believe.
Yeah.
As they're going to have to send one player to go get the other person's flag. We can see how HumanJesus is all the way at the back, and OK Believe is all the way at the back of his spawn as well. So very heavy defense, at least here for Allegiance, while YoWhatUp, a little bit less defense. We'll have to see how the kills go.
Indeed we will, and I was kind of not calling out the side of YoWhatUp, but just you kind of see in that particular play where Legal doesn't really get a call out, that he ends up dropping, and it was just like, where's the communication at? Like, Legal should have 100% been able to kind of turn on that player coming through Fire Alley, and just little plays like that could definitely be the reason why certain series go the way that they do. But like you said, current stalemate, the side in red, a.k.a. YoWhatUp, making the push forward, and They know exactly where his position is. I love this idea to use smokes, just kind of blinding the flag carrier, making him even more nervous. However, he will join alongside his teammates here inside of Bell, Ruin's Bell, rather. In the opposite end, HumanJesus sitting pretty. And I think if you are, a flag carrier or kind of a flag holder at this point, you definitely got to be favoring more of HumanJesus and Coast side, of course, for the side of YoWhatUp, just because you have that very long bridge. It really seems that like long lines of sight is what it's going to really take to kind of get that flag carrier down. And it's kind of like a no man's land, kind of like a flank that you're going to have to make super secretively if you're on the side of ALG to try to get toward HumanJesus. But on the opposite end, Believe has to constantly hide behind certain barriers, has to hide behind back bunker. Nades could easily kind of reach him. Smokes could definitely become an issue. So, well, this one will end out into a stalemate, it seems, as no players will drop. I think that we are going to see the side of ALG get a little bit of an advantage when it comes down to this next side. So we'll obviously see how that does play out, as it will be a 1-0 advantage. Oh, but wait, excuse me. No, it will not. I forgot. The minute overtime. Apologies. I'm still learning, obviously, clearly.
Oh, there's no round number 2. Okay, it keeps going.
No, there is a round number 2, but whenever someone's holding the flag, when the time does expire, there's a minute of overtime. So
okay, well,
yeah, forgot about
of course,
that.
YoWhatUp in more of a pressure situation. And as you can see, they've been sending 3 members to go kill Believe, while Allegiance can't actually stack all 4. Oh no, Illegal gets the return.
There you go.
HumanJesus can bring the flag home. Finally, round draw as YoWhatUp bring the flag home after, like I was saying, sending 3 players. They can be more aggressive, and they need to be. All the pressure was on their shoulders to try and tie things up, while Allegiance could play the 4-stack defense. But look at these kills out of HumanJesus for your final kill cam, or I guess bronze medal in this game as we head into round number 2.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was talking about. It was just the fact that ALG, of course, now it's going to be on the current set of YoWhatUp. Back bunker is just so hard to hold when you're in a stalemate, just because there's not a whole lot of cover that you can really find yourself in, whether it's behind the bunker or behind a statue. There's really not a whole lot of places that you can go. But whenever you were in HumanJesus' position that last round, it's that you have an entire bridge to kind of be looking out for, kind of like a no man's land, kind of an overall view of quite a bit of map control in front of you. That just makes it a lot easier. So if we do see a stalemate, it will now be the side of ALG who will have the advantage. But, of course, looking on here, Legal makes it behind enemy lines in that last round and is able to even things up as we head in here toward our second half of 5 minutes. HumanJesus and co. doing some work. And HumanJesus continues on his streak, as it looks like he does have, I believe it's artillery barrage along with, or maybe that's not artillery barrage. I forget what that one's called. Actually.
The fighter pilot thing?
No, it's fighter pilot, glide bomb, and I forget the third one. I think it's like a mortar. I think it's a mortar strike, actually.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's a mortar strike.
There's a fighter pilot. But just to also highlight the beginning of this round, all the kills were going in YoWhatUp's favor. Of course, Allegiance trying to spread their players thin, having some ruins, some cave, and all of them dropping either from nade kills or whatever, as Illegal going to be in control of a flag. Graciously, after getting all the kills that they needed, throwing some smokes down, have to take care of some players from Allegiance in bunker, as Illegal has his teammate drop in front of him. Needs to be extremely cautious. He knows how important his flag cap can be, and there it is. YoWhatUp take the advantage.
Yeah, good play there from YoWhatUp, and it was kind of like the early aggression, plus the streaks that come in from HumanJesus are absolutely huge. And now looking at it, Tisch, 13-6. Also, glide bomb, fighter pilot, and getting closer toward hit some other streaks for him as well. Things are looking up if you're on the side of YoWhatUp, and that just kind of comes to the fact of the overall slaying ability. And looking at this one at the half, honestly, Jen, there's a massive slaying differential. You see 8-13 for Nova, 6-8 for Believe, 8-12 for Spoofs. And the opposite is the artillery barrage actually gets earned here from Tisch, which is absolutely huge, especially in CTF. And the opposite end, you've got HumanJesus, who's currently, well, was triple positive. You got Tisch, who's 15-7, Legal, who's 15-9. Granted, Paradox is 6-16, but the slaying battle is definitely there for the side of YoWhatUp, despite only having now a 1-flag advantage.
Yeah, you could see earlier that Allegiance is trying to get a bit ambitious. I believe Believe tried to go for a flagpole towards the left side. We can see all the kills are going in YoWhatUp's split in favor, as you've mentioned. It's just a very big differential right now in the numbers. And the objective is now going more in their way, where Paradox can now sit more into the spawn and play a little bit more defense in case somebody does push bunker. And then you have HumanJesus, the god, on the left side. No pun intended, as Spoof's trying to push this middle map here for Allegiance. But they're struggling here to get their players together and get some objective work going, as they're either 1 or 2 down almost at all times.
Yeah, and it's obviously makes it very difficult to try to force a team who's kind of parking the bus. I mean, this team, if you are on the side of YoWhatUp, you can literally just sit in your base the entire game. Why? Because you've got plenty of streaks to use in case that flag does get out of your possession if the worst were to happen. But HumanJesus currently continuing to get kills, 16 and 6 now. I believe at least finds one in ruins for his sake, but as he finds one, his teammates will drop in quick succession as they're not able to get a whole lot of momentum whatsoever. Despite it only being a one-flag game, it's acting as if it's a big dominance overall in the overall scorecard, but that's not the case whatsoever. Minute and 20, and honestly, keeping in mind that Tisch still does have, I believe, the artillery barrage. So kind of keeping that in mind, that's a good 15 to 20 seconds to where whatever flag he decides to put that on, you are not able to walk in that area whatsoever. So if he's able to put it on his flag or the enemy's flag, there's no way they're escaping out of that one alive. So something to kind of keep in mind. Time is more of an issue as we start to look at it. Here comes the push from ALG, finding two, and honestly, if they can kind of pick off Legal and kind of work their plays here, they can try to make something happen. So 50 seconds left. Most likely Streaks coming through, but Paradox finds three. Streaks aren't even needed. Paradox is a one-man wrecking crew as Spoof's having to take shelter inside a cabin, but the Streaks will come through for Tisch. He's down, and HumanJesus on the opposite end is trying to put the nail in the coffin, spawning his teammates, as this one should be done with Gen. ALG players spawning toward the back of their base. The Streaks just to make sure that they can't make that push through Forest, and this one is going to be done. Spoof, of course, leaving the game early, as this one is going to get ended. It was going to be 2-1, 3-1 rather, as it will be the side of YoWhatUp who wins this one.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, there was a lot of kill streaks coming in at the end, and Paradox with the triple single-handedly saving his team from the cap that Legions was going through, and not happy after that as the game ended early. And we'll go give that win to YoWhatUp and move forward with the bracket. Yeah,
that was pretty crazy to see as far as like the, it ends obviously 2-1, would have ended 3-1 if we wouldn't have seen the, rage quit rather, but still, Tisch finishes off 21-8. HumanJesus finishes off 17-8. Despite Paradox kind of having a slow start, I believe he ends up finishing off maybe like -5, -6. So definitely a much more of a strong performance along with that triple.